Let's fucking go.
Everybody, welcome to the Comic Air Movie Show. My name is Deshaun, and today I am here to review Hulu's original movie, Predator, Killer of Killers. Yes, the Predator franchise and the Alien franchise, to be fair, are on the swing. Who would have thought, out of all the projects that, the IPs that Disney got when they bought Fox, that the Alien and Predator franchises that have for the last, honestly, decade or two, honestly, because the last Alien, because arguably the last good Aliens movie before Romulus was Prometheus, maybe, but that's arguable. Like the last undisputedly agreed upon good Aliens movie was Aliens. So it's been a long time since Aliens has been on the uptick. But even longer than Aliens, I'd probably say up till Prey, which came out a few years ago, the last good Predator movie was Predators. But even some people don't like that movie. I like Predators. I think Predators is a really good take. I thought it was interesting lore that they were messing around with, and the idea that the Predators kidnap people, and which is something that may or may not be done in this, but the idea that the Predator kidnaps like the most dangerous people on Earth and bringing them to a hunting ground is just a fascinating and interesting concept. I thought Prey was cool. Predators was cool. I thought that was cool. It wasn't perfect, but there was something there. But then, so along comes a guy named Dan Trachtenberg. I think his name's Trachtenberg. Yeah, Dan Trachtenberg, and he's the guy who came on and directed Prey, which came out a few years ago about the Native American girl Naru who fought the Predator. And Prey was such a good movie because it harkened back to what makes the Predator franchise work, which is man overcoming obstacles. Is this alien creature that's stronger, faster, has better technology, but we can outthink it, we can outmaneuver it, and it's supposed to be the greatest representation of what man is capable of under pressure, and that's the Predator franchise. And Prey did such a good job of recapturing that, because everyone when that movie was announced was like, oh my god, how is this small little girl gonna be the Predator? But when you watch the movie, you realize how the small little girl is gonna be the Predator is by outthinking it, by outmaneuvering it, by taking advantages of its weaknesses, of its arrogance, and killing this damn fucking thing. And it harkened all the way back to the original Predator in that kind of vein of thinking. And like the best Predator movies, Prey and Predator, and the OG Predator with Arnold, this movie is sort of kind of hearkening to that too, but it's an interesting movie. First of all, Killer of Killers is sort of an anthology, or at least it plays like an anthology. The movie is about an hour and 40 minutes, and I'll probably say about an hour and 20 of it, it plays like an anthology. But for like the last 15 to 20 minutes, it all comes together to turn out to be something a bit more than what you think it was. And because I was watching this with my friend Seth, and he thought that it wasn't, and he was surprised when it ended up being a connected thing at the end. But the story follows three different characters from three different time periods on Earth. One of them is a Viking war leader named Ursa, who's on a revenge quest to avenge the death of her father. Another one is a samurai story about these two brothers who are fighting over who will be the leader, and one brother got outcast, and they're beefing over just proving something to one another. And the last story takes place during World War II, and it's about a fighter pilot named Torres who, he wants to be a pilot, but he does, he's trying to find, it's kind of a classic, almost Disney-esque kind of inspiration around Torres, about the whole finding your inner truth and flying the plane with your heart and all this shit. But it leads to some epic sequences. And literally, outside of the Torres one, because Torres really wasn't doing it. Like, sure. Like, the story with Torres would be just a classic World War II young kid trying to prove himself story if the Predator wasn't there. But the other two are by far, like, they are in the middle of some shit. And the Predator shows up, which more and more, I'm realizing, like, some of the best horror movies, in particular in the Predator and Alien franchise, to be honest, work when the characters are trying to do some other shit that has absolutely nothing to do with the actual Predator or Alien or whatever, and the Alien is like this extra added thing that just shifts the momentum. I think I did a review of Predators not that long ago, maybe a couple years back. Oh, no, not Predators, a Predator. And one of the things that I said I admired about it so much was that if you watch the first like 20 minutes of that movie, Predator, and you don't know what's happening, you would think you're watching an old school 90s action movie. Because it plays like that. It plays like any old school 90s action movie. It plays like Commando, anything. It plays just like all that shit. So like, you think it could be this. And they even introduce a plot point that I'm not even quite sure they even come back to, which is the reveal that this awesome badass elite unit of killers were brought here under wrong circumstances, and Dutch is all pissed off about it and like, what the fuck is going on? And you know, like, you feel like okay, that's what this is. And then the Predator shows up. Like, that is kind of how they play this too, because the Viking warrior Ursa, she's on her revenge quest, she's killing all these Vikings, and she's trying to do her thing, and then the Predator shows up. Once again, these two brothers are beefing over who's better and who's gonna be the leader of their clan or whatever, of this clan beef, and the Predator shows up. And like, this Torres, like, that's why I say the Torres one is a bit different, because the Predator almost gives Torres an opportunity to prove himself. Whereas the other two is the Predator just dropping in the middle of their own stories and just saying, fuck your story, I'm here. And I think that, and it works great, especially for those first two. First of all, the Viking fights, all the action in this is badass. It's animated very well. The animation is very similar to Into the Spider-Verse, except maybe it's slowed down a bit. I watched the review of this who talked about how Into the Spider-Verse kind of like is different because it's more colorful and there's more shit going on, whereas there's a lot more darkness in this because just because of the subject matter, and it's not as colorful and it's not as much happening as Into the Spider-Verse, but it looks very similar to Into the Spider-Verse. Like, animation-wise, it looks very similar to Into the Spider-Verse. Also, like I say, the action is top-notch. I mean, it is bloody as you would imagine. It is gory as you imagine. The Predator does not fuck around. We get to see different Predators as well. And we also, like, the one thing that this does great, especially for someone like me, is it gives you more lore. Because one of the things about the Predator is, as much as we know about them, it's still so mysterious. Like, where'd they come from? Who's their leader? Like it's like, if you want to look it up, you can, to know that they may or may not have a king and they do have a home planet and whatnot. If you want to, you can do that. But for the most people, there's such a alluring mystery behind them. And the way they slowly and subtly just drop Easter egg after Easter egg, and even like just the Easter eggs of just like, well, not even Easter eggs, just lore of the different Predators and the different sizes, the different technologies. Like, I love that in the Viking episode, the one Predator, like, we've seen the Predator have like an automatic locking cannon on his shoulders. But you see this one hulking Predator, he has to cock back his weapon. He has to actually manually cock this shit back every time he fires it, which is crazy because it's an advanced piece of technology, but it's not as advanced as the technology of the Predator that fought Arnold. And the same thing happens in the other little sections of the movie with Torres and the samurai. As you see the evolution of this Predator over the course of time, and just how different they get and how advanced the technology gets, and why some things carry on. They just get slightly more advanced and slightly more advanced and slightly more advanced until you get to the Predator, to the Predator that we know today. And it's just a fascinating thing. But watching those characters do their own things, the fighter pilot stuff is badass, and it was fun. You've never seen a Predator and fighting in the sky before, but you see them fighting in the sky, and the weaponry that they were using, which is so unique, so fascinating. Like I say, the Predator franchise and the Predator in general is one of the most fascinating creatures of all time. It's one of the most fascinating aliens. Their lore is fascinating. So seeing more of that is always going to be awesome, and all these characters worked and all these stories worked, but also the combination of it when they all came together in the end, when I don't want to spoil what happens because it may or may not set up future things, but I will just tell you this. Dan Trachtenberg is clearly thinking ahead. There are Easter eggs to the aliens. There are Easter eggs to other movies. Maybe one that was very recent. So I love this movie. This movie was fun as hell. It was bloody. It was gory. It gave you so much lore. You got to see it was great action. I don't know what I could say. Killer or Killers is a 10 out of 10 for me. Thank you guys for joining the Conquer Movie Show. Please leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Goodbye.